Pango Quick Studies. Changing rights and freedoms in Australia. When the first fleet arrived in Australia in 1788, the land was declared empty. The Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people inhabiting it were completely disregarded. Captain Cook even described it as terra nullius, Latin for the land belonging to no one. From the moment of their arrival, the British began removing land from the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The continual marginalisation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people lasted for nearly 200 years. In 1959, Margaret Williams, now Dr. Margaret Weir, from the Malara people Bowden-Gordon family line, was the first recorded Aboriginal to graduate from an Australian university. The Australian referendum of 1967 approved an amendment to the Australian Constitution to include Aborigines in the national census. The amendments were overwhelmingly endorsed, winning 90.77% of votes cast and carrying in all 6 states. Now Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders will be recognised as citizens in their own country. On Australia Day 1972, known to the community as Survival Day, a beach umbrella was planted on the lawn of Parliament House, signifying the ongoing marginalisation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Known as the Aboriginal Tent Embassy, it was also the first time that the new Aboriginal flag, designed by Aboriginal artist Harold Thomas, was recognised as a potent symbol of the protest movement. The flag's black colour represents the Aboriginal people, the red, the unique pigment of the Australian land, and the yellow circle represents the sun. The protest movement helped Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people make many social and political gains, from obtaining official Australian citizenship to securing the right to vote. It also motivated Charles Perkins and the Freedom Riders to protest for the end of segregation in rural areas of Australia. By the mid-1970s, most places were no longer openly discriminating against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. It was at this time that the assimilation policy finally ended, closing a disturbing chapter in Australia's history. From the 1890s through to 1969, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children were forcibly removed by police from their families and homes in an attempt to assimilate them into Australian culture. Known as the Stolen Generations, the repercussions of their forced removal continue to be felt by the community today. In 1982, Eddie Mabo was shocked to discover that his people's traditional ownership of Murray Island, his home, was not recognised by Australian law. That year, he started legal action against the state of Queensland to establish who owned the island. 10 years of legal battles later, the High Court ruled that the Meriam people held native title over the island. The decision ended terra nullius, and the Native Title Act of 1993 was established. Sadly, Eddie Mabo died before he heard the results of the ruling, but his legacy lives on today. Continuing this legacy for the community, Cathy Freeman was the first recorded Aboriginal Commonwealth Games gold medalist at age 16 in 1990. She went on to become an Olympic champion and, as a role model, lit the Olympic flame at the Sydney Olympic opening ceremony in the year 2000. In 2007, the government officially acknowledged its past mistreatment of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and offered a broad apology for their profound grief, suffering and loss. It was also a public admission of the government's responsibility for the stolen generations. This signalled a new era in the freedoms of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and a renewed determination to close the gap in all aspects of society. Despite this, there is still much work that needs to be done to bridge this divide in education, health and employment.